So I'm going to speak about ritual today, and afterwards we're going to have a little discussion, some best practices, ideas, and things like that. So we had the presentation from Ashlar College about the essay contest they do each year, and this year I entered an essay for the first time ever. First time I'd written an essay in 25 years, and our virtual master presented or entered an essay in it as well. So we were two of the people who presented, contributed to that numbers. So anyways, my paper is called The Power of Ritual. So the use and delivery of ritual, or work as it is also called, is so intertwined with the craft that it is often difficult to separate the two. We use ritual to teach and mentor our newest brethren. By the use of the accepted rituals, we ensure adherence to our ancient charges and the universal teachings of Freemasonry. It is through the well-practiced delivery of well-learned ritual that we reinforce the fundamental teachings of our order. The exercise of learning, practicing, and delivering ritual also helps us keep our minds nimble, and in so doing, helps us to be active and productive members of our lodges. From the time we first entered the lodge room as poor blind candidates, until the time we pass to the Grand Lodge above, ritual will be our constant companion. We have all been impressed by a brother who regularly delivers a lecture flawlessly and with the ease of a renowned orator. The presentation of quality work engages our attention and enhances our understanding. The most successful lodges mentor their candidates to ensure the understanding of our work. It is through this understanding that we appreciate and comprehend our ancient charges alongside our candidates. Freemasonry is practiced in many languages around the world. It is only by the use of accepted rituals, teaching the same lessons, that the true virtues of our craft become universal. This brotherhood of man is consistent wherever the teaching of good quality work is practiced regularly. When taking the opportunity to travel as Freemasons, we use the knowledge of our work to prove ourselves worthy to travel and work as such. It is only by being able to demonstrate our knowledge that the brethren of different cultures, who may not even speak the same language, can recognize us for who we claim to be. The practice of learning and rehearsing our lectures allows us the opportunity to explore the lessons they teach us and strengthens our understanding of those teachings. The teachings of our order are so extensive that brethren have dedicated their entire lifetimes to studying them. By learning our ritual and presenting it, we can engage with brethren in a dialogue to increase not only our own knowledge, but theirs as well. Through discussions about our work, we learn to understand each other and form stronger bonds. Bonds which bring us closer together and strengthen our fraternity. Through this repetition, we live our lives by the virtues of our order, strengthen our minds with each and every step as we prepare ourselves to present memorable work. It is occasions such as that leave indelible marks on our memory. These indelible marks increase our understanding of our Masonic teachings and become far more entrenched in our minds when we strive to teach each other. As we learn new parts, we form new neural pathways. These can better be described by a neural launch paper from 2024, which states, when you form a new memory, it's like creating a new path through a forest. The more you recall that memory, the more well-worn and easily accessible that path becomes. From the human memory, we learn that this pathway then becomes part of our brain. According to research, it takes 21 days to make or break a habit. This habit formation is dependent on training our brain to create new neural pathways. The strength of our neural pathways keeps our mind agile. They can also be referred to as connectomes, as indicated in the human connectome matures during development and aging and can be affected by disease. All these processes may affect the speed of information flow in the brain. This statement cannot be disregarded as evident in the Mayo Clinic staff paper. If you notice your memory getting worse, it's particularly important to get help. Recently, I have witnessed two brethren with a reputation for delivering quality work stumble in their delivery, knowing that they could do better. And within a few months, they were diagnosed with significant medical issues. Although this observation is purely anecdotal, when we or our brethren display uncharacteristic behavior, we must not ignore or discount this, as it may well be a symptom of a serious concern. Ritual is one of the things that unites us into one common mass of friends and brothers. Our work transcends the differences of language, geography, and culture. The work we do as Freemasons attracts good men to seek out the deeper meaning that our time-honored institution presents, which is ingrained in us through adherence to our principles taught to us in our ritual. When we are proficient in our personal knowledge, we can easily refer to specific lines in daily conversation. Therefore, it should be recognized that learning and presenting good quality work not only strengthens for Freemasonry, but it may well help keep our brethren healthier. So I was thinking as well that for most people, to memorize words, they do it for a couple different reasons. Performers, they learn their lines so that they can entertain. But Freemasons, when we learn our work, we do so we can study and understand the teachings of how to be a better man. And now I'd like to ask any of the brethren here, do you have any tricks that you use specifically that other brethren may not know for learning and memorizing? And have you actually, when you're working with a candidate, what techniques are you imparting on them to help them understand and how to memorize better and grasp the topic? Anybody have any?
I'll jump in. I have found for myself the most effective method is I record myself giving a lecture or piece of work. And because once a week I have a very long drive, it's 2 hours each way from Caslow to Trail, I just listen to that over and over, and I'm saying it at the same time as I'm listening it. And then through repetition of that, I can say it without listening to it. But I find that works a lot better than reading it off the page. And if I read it without saying it, that's not helping it stick. It's by saying it over and over that's going to help it stick. And when I started, my coach sort of told me, memorize that first part, get it good, then memorize that second paragraph, and then get the two flowing into each other before you move to that third paragraph. Because if you try to just run through the whole obligation from start to end over and over, you're going to forget the beginning before you get to the end.
So you're creating neural pathways. Yeah. And it's the analogy of you're walking through the forest. Every time you repeat that, your trail through the forest is getting more defined and easier to find. So, anybody else have it? Oh.
Brother, very much like the worship master has indicated, I don't record it. I find personally, if I write it out or I type it out word for word for word, and I know we have to guard that, so nobody becomes aware of it. But I followed the same process. I started at the beginning, I type it all out, and as I'm putting it to memory, I'm following that path, right? So I tread down that path until I think I've made a mistake, and I started at the beginning and I walk that path again. And each time the path gets a little firmer, gets a little wider, a little bit easier to navigate, and you get further and further along the journey until you get to the end of the memory work. So that's my personal way of dealing with it. And I've helped to share that with other brethren that have come up with the craft. It was also how I was shown to do memory.
Okay. Anybody else?
Well, that's just because of the musical background, I actually compose it. And if you get it into a cadence that it's like lyrics, then you just take a long walk and sing.
It's an excellent point, brother, because I've often reflected, how many songs do I know by heart that I've just listened to them hundreds of times, and I know all the lyrics that I can sing without struggling, and yet one paragraph, half a page, I can try and drill that into my mind over the course of a couple months and still stumble. So that is an excellent suggestion, to put it to music in your mind.
Yeah, because some of our work, as you all are aware, it's not in our modern language. And the words, sometimes it's like they took a handful of words, threw it on the floor and rearranged it into what order. And now you're trying to memorize it and present it into something that makes sense. And yeah, there's been a few times where it's like, what the heck does this mean? Or how do these words all connect together? But yeah, by finding a cadence.
The rhythm piece made me think of when I was learning dramatic studies. Shakespeare is all written in iambic pentameter, so it has a rhythm. Now, the actors might not speak it, but for the memory purposes, it's all da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. 5 groups of 2. And so each line is going to have that same number of syllables. So, you know, having that rhythm, even if that's not the way you deliver it, might be helpful. David, I think you had a question or a comment.
Yeah, so one of the things that I've been experimenting with is heavy-sync and holosync technologies. Some people might be familiar with, but essentially it's binaural beats. And so what this is you put headphones on, it pulses sound in different frequencies into each ear, and it helps you reach various states like alpha or delta or gamma. These are the states that you would normally go into if we're either in the flow, like in a flow state and you're performing really well, or for example, in deep meditation. It helps you reach those states easier. And so I've been working with using those states and then doing memory work. And much like yourself, I record myself doing those, but I also do one version where I pause after each line, and then I will recite it back after I've heard that line, and then, you know, and then I do a second version where I'm speaking conversationally, and then I go along with that or recite it along with that.
Interesting.
Great, thank you.
Anybody else? So one of the reasons why I decided to take this topic and write on is because of the 2 brethren that I noticed that had medical issues. So we had one who, for years, he delivered the G lecture in the fellowcraft degree. And he was doing it a couple years ago. He never needed a prompt. He never had a problem doing it. All of a sudden, he was confused. He needed a prompt. He lost his place. And a couple months later, he was diagnosed with cancer. So that's where these situations in your brain, there's already something happening before there's signs and symptoms. Or this could be a sign of it. And it's things that like that are meant to, amongst your brethren, it's something you notice. So don't just disregard it. If somebody who you know does much better job all the time, and they're off, why are they off? do not disregard it, because it might be the chance to get some help earlier, and the brother can still be around. This particular brother isn't with us anymore. The other brother who had a medical issue, he always did the address to the brethren at the installation, the long version, the Canadian Rite version. And he stumbled greatly the last time he did it. And a month or so later, he was being medevac to Kelowna for a heart situation. He's fine now, he's healing, but it's these kinds of things, do not disregard them. They're our brethren, and we have to look out for them. Any other questions? No?
I think a round of applause.